Karen Reid is big news, but is she guilty of what she's accused of? Or is she as innocent as she says she is? Let's have a look at that in this video from Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to find out more about what is going on underneath. And here we're going to look at the words of Karen Reid. She is charged with killing her partner, police officer John O'Keefe. And I think we need to remember there is a victim at the center of this. This has become quite polarizing on social media, but there is a victim here, John O'Keefe, a police officer who was caring for two children. And we shouldn't lose sight of that. And we should be looking less at picking faults in each other and looking at getting justice for John O'Keefe, whichever side we are on. Anyway, prosecutors allege that Karen Reid hit O'Keefe with her car and left him to die in the middle of a snowstorm, January 2022, in Canton in Massachusetts. The prosecutors say they got into an argument earlier in the day and things escalated. Karen Reid has strenuously denied the allegations, as we will see, and we'll look at what she said in an interview she gave to ABC last week. There's a link to that in the video description below if you want to watch the full piece from Nightline. And we're going to look at that through the prism of truthful deception. Truthful deception is a process that lays out multiple points to look at in someone's words to see if they're being honest, to see if they're being deceptive, or if they're hiding things. Now here we're going to look at the process of lying, because Karen is accused of being responsible for the death of John, and she says she isn't. So in this interview where she says, I didn't do it, she's either lying or she's telling the truth. Perhaps a mix of both. It's incredibly difficult to lie. Lying involves creating a fake story in our heads, which exists in a different part of the brain from where the truth sits. When we're lying, we need to ensure that the lie fits with other parts of the truth. That's parts of the truth that people already know, or parts of the truth that are verifiable by some outside way. When we're telling the truth, that's the predominant thought in our mind, what actually happened, and we only need to focus on that. But lying, as I said, is much, much harder, because when we're telling a lie, we need to focus on that lie, and we need to pull it out of that part of the brain where things we've created sits. And we also have to have the truth in our thoughts, because, well, it's the truth, number one. It's in our thoughts. It won't go away. It's in there. And we need to keep checking the truth to ensure that our lie, the lie we're telling, matches up to what others know or could know. It's incredibly complex. Lying is really, really hard work. And that means if we look at statements liars make, we can see fragments of the truth come out, because that truth is never far from our thoughts. And we can also see markers of lying that come from that different place in our heads. We talk about lies slightly differently than we relay the truth. At times, some of this is going to seem pedantic, like I'm picking on certain words for good reason. It is kind of pedantic. Let's start with the denial, the very first thing we hear from Karen Reid in this piece from ABC News. She says, I did not kill John O'Keefe. I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head. Now, the first part, I did not kill John O'Keefe, is good. It's reassuring. It's a reliable denial. She says, kill. She uses the word kill. She doesn't minimize it. Not quite often with people who are accused of something and they're denying it. If they're guilty, they'll minimize what it is they're denying. You know, instead of saying I did not kill, it'll be I did not do that or I did not do it. But no, she uses the word kill. That is reassuring. She's got ownership of this. She says, I did not kill John O'Keefe. And it's really straightforward. A minor point off, because she says, I did not kill John O'Keefe, which is very formal, not I didn't kill John O'Keefe. Sometimes if people are denying something with a lie, they feel the more formal they sound, the more believable it will be. But it's only a minor point off. You know, if that's all she said, I did not kill John O'Keefe, I'd be giving her an 8.5 out of 10 on the believability scale. Normally, when you expect someone to refer to their partner just by the first name, and she calls him his full name here, John O'Keefe. But I wonder, we don't hear the question that led to her saying this. I do wonder if the question was, did you kill John O'Keefe? Therefore, the idea of using his full name didn't come from Karen, it came from the interviewer. I think that's very likely what happens here. I give her the benefit of the doubt. So I'm still at 8.5 out of 10. All good. And then she adds this bit in. I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head. This sounds like she's trying too hard now. She just left it. I did not kill John O'Keefe. I'd be reassured by that. Why add this in? It does feel like she's trying too hard. It's also not believable. We harm people we're close to all the time, accidentally, through thoughtlessness. An accident, to say a blanket outright, I've never harmed a hair on John O'Keefe's head, it's just not believable. So she's gone from an 8.5 to, I don't know, a 6, just by adding in those words that didn't need to be there, that really mean nothing, but she's added them, she's said them for a reason. The interviewer asks, "You're alleging that law enforcement officials committed murder and are covering this up. Why would they want to be involved in this?" She says, "Because he's dead." I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved, but they're all family, and there's many of them involved. Now, this interview is cut to shreds. There's so many edits in it that we may well be missing important things in Karen's word to give her the fairness and to give her the benefit of the doubt. So I don't think what she said flowed exactly like the quote that is on your screen there, but these are words that she used. Because he's dead, I don't get the relevance of the logic there. Why are people involved in this? Why would people want to be involved in this? Because he's dead. Maybe she went on to say more that qualified it, but I could argue right back that when someone's dead, that's when people don't want to be involved in something. That's when they run a mile. I want to zone in on something here. Look at this description here that's highlighted. I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved. Now, if you're watching this interview, I think most people hearing this would think that this is Karen describing what she thinks the people she alleges killed John did. I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved. However, in this little bit here, she doesn't mention anyone else. In fact, this highlighted description could be Karen describing exactly what she is accused of. I think things went too far. It was late. There was alcohol involved. That's quite interesting. And then at the end, they're all family and there's many of them involved. Those are just facts. They're not things that tell me why they would want to be involved in this. She may want us to think she means they're all family, so they're going to go and stick together, or there's so many of them involved, they're going to protect each other. But she doesn't say those things. She just says they're family and there's many of them involved. She just states facts, not reasons, nothing to back up why she is mentioning those facts. Next, she's asked to describe John, and these are some of the phrases that she uses. "I would call him the patron saint of Canton. He's just very selfless, frugal." And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John. Now, this struck me as quite strange. In my experience, calling someone the patron saint of something is usually said with sarcasm or criticism. You know, how can I compare with Judy? She's the patron saint of always getting her reports in on time. Or, yeah, I bet you Alex got a glowing report. She's the patron saint of kissing ass. It's a very unusual way of describing someone nicely. And look at the two qualities she lists there. Very selfless and frugal. It's selfless, it's very selfless, it's qualified. It's not totally selfless. He's amazingly selfish. It's selfless, it's very selfless. And frugal. Frugal's a loaded word. Frugal tends to be used with a lot of judgment on it. You know, don't expect him to contribute. He's very frugal. He'll never put his hand in his pocket. He's very frugal. And here, John is frugal. The opposite of frugal is generous. Now, generous would be a good quality to call someone, but no. The second most important nice thing she can think about saying about John is he was frugal. And then this last part, you think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that didn't care for John. It's very qualified. And I think, so this is just her opinion, this is not just certain, you'd be hard-pressed to find, not you can't find or you won't find anyone that didn't care for John. And it's all expressed in the negative. Selfless is not he's incredibly caring or incredibly giving, or, you know, he gave so much of himself. It's selfless, negative. Frugal, we've dealt with that already. Not extremely smart with money, he's frugal. And she doesn't say at the end here, everyone cared for John as he was such a great guy. No, it's just in the negative. You would find it hard to find anyone that didn't care for John. Finally, on that patron saint of Canton, that is how John was with the whole town. not just how John was with her. Karen and John had a relationship previously. They broke up and then got back together. And she's asked, so how did you meet up again? And she says, he had reached out to me on Facebook. He said, hey, blast from the past, how's things? And when I saw his picture, his profile picture was with several young children. And then it triggered my memory that his sister and his sister's husband had passed away. And he told me, yeah, I have the kids now. I admired that. I thought that was amazing. Now, the first thing I note here is this is a story from the past, and it's told in past tense. He had reached out to me. He said, when I saw his picture, his profile picture was, it triggered my memory, had passed away. I admired that. This is past events told by Karen in the past tense, and that is expected. And it's an indicator that when Karen talks about something in the past, events that have happened, she uses past tense, or can use past tense to do that. For the rest of this, I believe it's very straightforward. And it does suggest to me that the kids were a real high priority to John and Karen. Karen then goes on in the interview to talk about some of the difficulties in the relationship, and these seem to centre around these kids. She says 2 statements. He would go to work and I would stay with his niece and nephew. And all of the breaks that the kids had, we did something. These are very factual statements. There's no emotion here. Look at how she describes them. I would stay with the kids, not I would care for them, I would look after them, only I would stay with them. That just suggests where she was, not what she did or any of the emotion that she put into it. And it's the same with all of the breaks that the kids had. We did something. No sense of we had fun, we made memories, we put smiles on these children's faces. No, just all the breaks that we had, we did something. Karen goes on to talk about an argument that they had New Year's Eve. I think this is potentially less than a month before John's death. She says, we had an argument on New Year's Eve. We were away on vacation and he became incoherently drunk, and I ended up ringing in the new year with his niece-nephew. John didn't come back to our room until after 3 a.m, so that was rough. I felt very much taken advantage of. He apologised profusely for what happened on New Year's Eve, and he said, if you can't get over it, then you need to spend some time at your house, as I can't keep apologising. I don't want to keep rehashing this. Now, this is not me slurring my words, and these are not typos. Karen talks very quickly in this answer, merges words together and misses some out, an indication that there is real stress in reliving this argument, this incident. So let's look at it paragraph by paragraph there. Niece, nephew, she doesn't use the word and in the middle. This is where she's running words together, but she refers to them as his niece and nephew. Obviously, some stress caused there. It's just niece and nephew. His niece and nephew. There's no names given to the kids that would imply a little bit of closeness or fondness to them. It's just his niece and nephew. It could be that she's not using their names to protect them, to give them some anonymity there. But in which case, there are other phrases she could have used, like the kids. But no, she uses his niece and nephew. That is how John related to them. That is how he is related to them. It suggests there is distance there between Karen and those kids. I ended up bringing in the new year. I ended up is a phrase that we use to skip detail. And there's some detail being skipped here. Think if I said I was in a horrible traffic snarl up yesterday and I ended up being 2 hours late for a meeting, I ended up is covering off exactly all the things that happened in that 2-hour delay, all the things that happened in that traffic jam. I'm just telling you what's important, which was I ended up being 2 hours late for a meeting. Here, she's definitely skipping over details. We don't know what the argument was about. We don't know exactly how they came to be apart and how she ended up ringing in the new year. She's skipping over details there. John didn't come back to our room until after 3 a.m, so that was rough. I very much felt taken advantage of. Note here, the selfless guy that she described, the patron saint of Canton, this doesn't feel like the actions of a completely selfish patron saint sort of guy, does it? She says he apologized profusely for what happened on New Year's Eve, and he said, if you can't get over it, then you need to spend some time at your house, as I can't keep apologize. I don't want to keep rehashing this. In her own telling here, Karen bore a grudge or continued resentment around whatever happened on New Year's Eve. She didn't get over it quickly. She's talking about rehashing it, and she's not knocking back any of those things that John said. She's not saying, in his opinion, or he thought I wasn't getting over it fast enough. She obviously bore some kind of grudge and continued resentment around this. That doesn't make her a killer. This is just what her words are telling us. Interestingly, she doesn't tell us what happened, what the argument was about, how they ended up being apart, why he didn't come back till 3 a.m. She tells us what he said very much and what his actions were. He was incoherently drunk, but we don't hear what she did, what she said, or even how she felt about this incident. Just no detail there whatsoever. Now we come to the night that John died, and the story is that they were invited to a party held by another police officer, or certainly round to another police officer's house to continue a social event. And Karen says that she wasn't sure that they could go to that party. In her statement, she says, I said, can we make sure we're welcome here? Nobody extended the invite to me. I didn't hear the invite extended to you. I'm intrigued by the extended the invite that she is talking about here. That suggests to me that there is a concept of the invite. An invite happened. Could be that there were other invitations she knew about, or a blanket invitation. Everyone's welcome, because she could have said, nobody invited me and I didn't hear anyone invite you. No, it's about extending the invite to them. That goes as well with the, are we welcome here? Was there some reason that she didn't think they would be welcome there? Some animosity happening already? Was she nervous? Because, you know, she doesn't just say, are you sure we can go? I wasn't invited. No, it's about extending the invite. The invite suggests that there was an invite that she's aware of. It just wasn't extended to them. Also, this conversation must have happened outside the party if it happened as Karen is telling it, because it's, can we make sure we're welcome here, not there or at the house or at the party. It's we're welcome here. I'm not sure where she's claiming this conversation takes place. I'm not calling her a liar. What I'm saying is in her telling, they must have got as far as the house, and then that's when she had these cold feet, because she said it happened here. She then talks about the last time that she saw John. So I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It's windy, so I drop him off. He goes up the driveway and approaches the side door. And as I see him approach the door, I look down at my phone. Do you remember the story about them getting back together again? The Facebook story that was all in the past tense, as we expected. Well, this also happened in the past. She's claiming this is what happened in January 2022, and she gave the interview in August 2023. And she uses the present tense continually through this. So I pull at the foot of the driveway. It's snowing. John has no coat on. It is windy. I drop him off. He goes up the driveway, approaches the side door. I see him approach the door. I look down at my phone. It's all told in the present tense. Why is that? Why is that so different from the Facebook story, the re-hookup story, which was all in the past tense? There's two main reasons why people tell past stories in the present tense. The first one is trauma. If someone's telling a traumatic story where they experienced trauma at the time, they may well tell that in present tense, because it's as if they are experiencing the event again. The trauma is still within them. The trauma is current, and so the language is current present tense. The other reason is that it's a made-up story. It's a lie, and it's coming from that part of our brain where we created the story and we're experiencing it in real time in our head as we tell the story, which is why we use present tense, because it didn't happen in that experienced part of our brain. We use present tense words to describe it. It doesn't seem that traumatic, this part of the story, to me. So I really do wonder why it is in present tense. And there's more I don't like. Look at the phrase, I drop him off. In her telling of the story, they've pulled up at the driveway. John's going to get out the car, go to the door, check it's all right for them to come in, and guess then he's either going to signal, yeah, you can come in, or he's going to go back to the car and saying, yeah, it's fine, we can come in, or I guess, no, we're not allowed, let's go. So why does she drop him off? We drop people off when they've got to where you're taking them, they get out, and you go your separate ways. That's what drop off means. So why did she use the phrase drop him off? And then it's stagey. It's like a set of directions from a screenplay. I pull up, it's snowing, it's windy, I drop him off, he goes up the driveway. Notice he approaches the side door twice. He approaches the side door, and as I see him approach, I look down at my phone. If you're getting something from this video, then please share it on social media to help more people find it. Press the like button, also helps more people find it. You can subscribe if you like to get more videos like this. And if you've got anything you want to say, then get involved in the comments down below. All of those things help spread the word. So I appreciate you doing all of them. If you want some homework in the comments, what are the things that are missing here in Karen's statements that you would expect to see from someone in her situation? Because my feeling is there's lots missing that I'm not going to cover in this video, but I think there's lots missing in Karen's statements here that I would either expect to see or I would feel more reassured if she gave some statements like that. But yeah, subscribe, share, comment, press the like button. All those would be gratefully appreciated. The next statement in the part from ABC News is when she looks at what happened when she realised John was missing, because in her telling of the story, she got hacked off when he didn't come back to the car, so she drove back to his house, waited a long time, and then eventually thought something's not right. And she says that when she realised that, I'm just going to drive around the 2 square miles that we spent the preceding night. It's a very short clip. There may be more context missing from everything she said there. But if he'd been missing several hours, why was her thought to go back and look at the places they'd been the night before? Because if he'd been missing several hours, he could be anywhere by then, not necessarily anywhere they were the preceding night. So why was that her thought? Logically, it might make sense to go back to the last place you knew him to be, which would be the house where John died. But she doesn't say that. She says that she's going to drive around the 2 square miles that we spent the preceding night. The interviewer says to her, how soon was it when you pulled in there that you saw John's body? And Karen replies, immediately. And what struck me when I saw him was his mouth was open a little bit and his eyes were shut and he had spots of blood in different areas on his face. I believe this. It's in past tense, as you can see. What struck me, his mouth was open, his eyes was shut, he had spots of blood. It's in past tense and it's straightforward. But there is some extra info here, because she's asked, how soon was it when you pulled in you saw John's body? And she answers, immediately. And then she moves on to describe the body that she saw. She's not asked to describe the body. She's not asked to describe what she saw at all. She's given extra information that she wasn't asked for here. When we do that, sometimes it's a move to safer ground, a move to talk about something we're more comfortable talking about, that we can talk about with less stress than what it was we've been asked to talk about. So perhaps the fact that when she saw John's body immediately, that's quite sensitive to her, and she wants to move to something less sensitive, like what she saw when she found John's body. Now, one of the allegations is that she hit John with her car. Part of the supposed evidence around that is that her tail light on the car was cracked. And she deals with this because she said she went searching for John with people called Jen and Kerry. And she says, I told both Jen and Kerry that I cracked my tail light. I said, I just hit my car on top of everything, but I didn't look at the damage. And both women said, it's cracked. It's cracked. Calm down. You cracked your tail light. You're okay. Let's go look for John. Part of this feels like alibi building. The fact she has 2 witnesses to this, as she says, Jen and Kerry. She told both of them. She'd cracked her tail light. So, 2 people know about this, not just me. And then look at that. And both women said, it's cracked, calm down. You cracked your tail light. You're okay. Let's go look for John. Both of them said that, did they? What, independently at the same time in harmony? Yeah, interesting that's there. But then I'm interested in this part here. She says in her telling, I hit my car on top of everything, but I didn't look at the damage. But previously, she said, I had told both Jen and Kerry that I had cracked my tail light. So she told them that she cracked the tail light, but she didn't look at the damage. Make that one make sense for me, because I can't make sense of it. And again, as in a lot of what Karen says, we're lacking detail here. She doesn't say when she hit her car, into what she hit her car, how it happened. It just, I hit my car on top of everything. Next is put to her something that she said at the scene of John's body. A firefighter said that you said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Karen says, I said I hit him. It was preceded by a did and proceeded by a question mark. What I thought could have happened was that I did incapacitate him unwittingly somehow, and then in his drunkenness passed out. Well, we never get to hear why she thought this was the thought. Why she thought she could incapacitate him unwittingly somehow. Because in her telling of the story, he went to the side door, she never saw him again, was not aware of him again, and drove off. So why did she think that she could incapacitate him? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't hang together with what she's told us previously. And then look at that explanation for why she said, I hit him. I said I hit him. It was preceded by a did and proceeded by a question mark. Now that's oddly convoluted. It's a really long-winded way of explaining this. It's not straight at all. Why not just say the more straightforward? I didn't say I hit him. I said, did I hit him? No. She said I hit him. Now, media training for you, Karen, that can be clipped and used well out of context. We haven't done that here. I wouldn't do that here. But it's just a very, very weird way of denying saying, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. No, I didn't say that. I said, did I hit him? Would be really straightforward and clear way of doing it. By the way, we don't talk in question marks, do we? We don't say, da 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 da, and then I put a question mark at the end of it. No, that's how we write things with question marks. What else have we got? Oh, by the way, incapacitate him unwittingly somehow is minimizing things right down. Incapacitate him unwittingly somehow. And then in his drunkenness, the patron saint, is getting blamed for his drunkenness for this death, not the incapacitation that she thinks has happened. The interview then walks on to how much she had to drink that night of the incident. She's asked, when you walked out of the bar, how many drinks have you had? I had probably about 4, is what she said. She's not committing to a number here, is she? It's I had probably about 4. Not certainly not a very certain. I'd had 4 drinks. It's probably 4, about 4, probably about 4. That means nothing. Means nothing. The interviewer says, the Commonwealth says that you had 9 drinks that night. That's what the prosecution says. And Karen says, I don't believe they're saying I wasn't in my right mind. That's deflection from the amount of drinks that she had. She doesn't take on the 9 drinks. She doesn't say, yeah, that's what I had. Or no, it was around 4. No, she just moves on to talk about something else rather than the number of drinks she had. So I think very sensitive subject for her there. Definite deflection. The interviewer interrupts and says, they're saying you were intoxicated. Is it possible that you might have hit him unwittingly in your admittedly very large SUV? And Karen says, no, not possible. That's the last thing we'll hear from Karen in this part of the news. No, not possible. Compare it to the I did not kill John O'Keefe at the beginning, which I liked. It had ownership with I. It had a description of what she was saying she didn't do, kill John O'Keefe. None of that is here in no, not possible. So that's the words of Karen Reid. What conclusions have I got? Wow, quite a lot here. She doesn't have much to say about John. That's good. There's no closeness shown between the pair of them whatsoever. So I think this was a relationship under a lot of stress and a large distance between the two. Potentially a lot of animosity built up between them as well. Look, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. And this is not me saying Karen Reid is a murderer based on that. I'm just saying that in Karen's statement here, I can conclude a lot of truth in the allegations that there is a lot of distance, a lot of animosity between the two of them. No closeness towards the niece and nephew either. They are referred to commonly as his niece and his nephew. The kids, I think, were a source of stress. I don't think she enjoyed much about them at all. And she does say this was at the centre of a lot of stress in her and John's relationship, and it is believable. But I don't like her story of what happened on the night. I don't like the present tense in that description of John going up to the door. I don't like some of the things that I see, like drop him off, like the approach twice. A lot of that says that there's much more going on there than she's talking about. And the contradiction between that telling of him walking off, she sees him approach the side of the house, and then could I have hit him, even though to her knowledge, he was not there. I don't like that inconsistency around the tail light either. The fact she said, I told people I damaged it, and then she said, I didn't look at the damage. And also, I don't like the fact she's avoiding talking about how much she had to drink. She minimises it, and then she downplays its significance. Look, Karen Reid's on charges of second-degree murder. Having looked at her statements here, I'm quite comfortable with that. I see nothing in her words that suggests there's going to be a miscarriage of justice. Let's see what the legal process brings. Let's see what other evidence at the trial brings. But right now, I think she's in the right place. If you enjoyed that, then check out neveratruerword.com. It's where you can connect on social media and see more content like this. If you want to read some in-depth analysis of people's words, especially in crime, then posts.neveratruerword.com is a good place to get lots of writing. If you want to learn more about things like this by yourself, then books.neveratruerword.com is where you can buy a couple of books that will help you get beyond the skin and beyond the surface of what someone was saying. Find out if people are lying, deceiving, hiding things. Books.neveratruerword.com. And here on YouTube, you'll find more videos as well, looking at the words that people choose to use.